Growing up, just no matter what I ever did was never good enough for my dad. My dad was a real bad alcoholic, abusive, different things like that, low self-esteem. I always felt like I never fit in. I was always the big fat kid, you know. I never understood why everybody else was smaller than me. And as life went on, I started seeing how alcohol and drugs made me actually feel like I was able to socialize and could fit in, which was the biggest lie I ever believed, you know. So, which led into another cycle of drugs and prison for over 23 years. I've spent 10 years of my life incarcerated, and 13 of it was the worst prison ever. What got me to that true point of brokenness was I was facing 32 years with a PFO1. I'd been on the run for 10 months. And something was laying heavy on my heart one night, and it was just like, call your dad, call your dad. So, you know how God talks to us. So I called Dad, and he's like, well, I thought you called because you heard. I was like, heard what? And he's like, well, the kid's mom's fixing to die of lung cancer. And man, I just hit my knees that night that once again, here I am on the run, facing all this time in prison, and I can't do nothing for my kids. Nothing. And that next morning, 2 sheriffs showed up where I was at, and that's where I met God, for real, for real. I went to go grab a butcher knife so that they would go ahead and shoot me. I didn't want to harm nobody, but that was my intent, that I grab a butcher knife and run towards them, hoping they would kill me. As I went to reach for that knife, I literally, man, I just felt like a grip on my arm. It was just like me talking to you. All I heard was, keep your eyes on me. We'll get through this. I've never had so much peace in my life at that moment, and I'm facing all these years in prison. And it was from that point I dedicated to learn who God is, who I am. You know, through the whole period of incarceration, it was just God signs, God signs, God signs. And then it led me to 1501 Lotto Street, where God introduced me to Second Hope and Gary and Joe Donaldson, the Great Adventure class, Southeast. And he gave me a family I've never had before in my life. And broken's a beautiful thing, embrace it. That God is my forefront, for real. That's what I cry out to, that's how I lean into it for strength. And by doing that, that's created a relationship back. You know, I missed out on my first 3 kids because of my bad choices and my life of sin. And now that they're adults, I have a great relationship with 2 of them. My oldest son, that experienced the most of everything, he don't want no part of it. And I get it. And, you know, that's for him to make that peace with. But I stay consistent, and then, you know, every year I've been able to fly out to California and watch, you know, visit my daughter. I was there for her middle school graduation, high school graduation. And I got to go out there to watch her graduate a bachelor's program. You know, not a lot of kids achieve that. They come from a broken home. And then I have another son. I actually named him Chance, hoping he would actually have a chance in life. And well, he's been scarred and traumatized, you know, so he's kind of took up my old way of life. But about 2.5 years ago, he came to the Healing Place, was going to church with us. And it's so cool because when I first started going to Southeast, and I used to watch those baptisms, and here I am, supposed to be incarcerated, and I'm getting to go and experience God in this huge church. And I used to watch these families baptize their children. And I just started claiming it, praying it, claiming it, and praying it from 2016. And in 2021, I got to baptize my son in that baptismal. And what was the really cool God wink about it was up on the screen as they were singing. And it literally said, and in the Father's arms I will rest. I was like, man, that was a God stamp right there. And that was one of the biggest commitments I made. That instead of saying I'm sorry, I'm going to show it for the rest of my life. Family's good. God has definitely restored things in such a mighty way in less than 8 years. Less than 8 years versus those 23 I spent wrecking my life. That's God.